Un peu de terre.
Let's see. Okay, so we'll get started here. I'm going to leave everybody's, you guys are all welcome to chime in and add questions or comments or whatever. Just if you would, if you got some background noise, it might be a good idea to mute yourself, and then you can unmute yourself when you need to speak. But
hey, Craig.
Yes, sir.
Your audio seems kind of low, and I've got mine jacked up very loud. I don't know if I'm the only one experiencing this, but you're very quiet.
Anybody else having trouble hearing me?
I think that's meeting because it's the same thing on the weekly webinars.
Huh. Okay.
Yeah, I noticed that too. A little bit on the low side.
What about now? Is that better?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Is that too much?
No.
Okay.
You could go more if you want.
All right. Well, let me boost it up. Okay.
Yeah. Great.
Thank you.
Sure. Okay. Well, so let's get started here. What I want to do first is first I'll introduce myself. I'm Craig Klein. I'm the CEO of Sales Nexus, and there's my contact.
Hey, Craig.
Yes, sir.
Sorry to interrupt, but you went quiet again. Like I have to really struggle to hear you.
Are you guys able to hear me? Everybody else?
I'll be real with you.
No, you went back to the
Huh.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like it's resetting for some reason.
Maybe you need to lock or something.
Yeah, I don't know how to do that though on this computer.
Just below says lock. Second from
Just
the
go
bottom.
further down in that menu.
Ah, there you go.
Yeah.
Oh no, that locked my computer.
Sorry.
Sorry.
Yeah. Just being real with you, Crystal.
Sounded like a good idea.
Okay, I'm back in anyway.
Like that.
Let me see if I can. That's not what I wanted. Bear with me, y'all. Sorry. Let me try to just get this handled.
Yeah.
So. Okay, is that better?
Yeah, great.
A little bit.
Yep.
For whatever reason, it keeps kind of like auto adjusting, and I don't know how to turn that off. So I'm going to try and speak loudly, and maybe that'll help a little bit. Let's see. Yeah, that's the only option I have too. Okay. Let me check one other thing, and then we'll get started here.
You don't by any chance have a headset, do you?
No. I
Okay.
can call in, but that might be better. But it seems like it's pretty loud right now. Yes?
Not really on this end.
Okay.
So with all due respect, Crystal, I'm going to tap out of communicating with you for the rest of the day.
Okay, how is now? You guys hear me?
Everyone has to lock or shut their mics off.
I can mute everybody. Can you guys hear me now?
Yeah,
Yes.
we can hear you, but I can hear you better from
Yes.
Static in the background.
Okay. All right. Looks like there we go. I muted somebody that had a lot of background. Okay, I'm going to get rolling here. Sorry for the trouble, guys, but thanks for the input. Let's see. So what we're going to cover today is first just B2B data quality, why it's important, what are the aspects of it that you need to think about. We're going to talk about list cleansing, meaning validating your list and removing spam traps and things like that from your email list. And then we'll get into just, some examples of searching for and building B2B contact lists. And then we'll talk a little bit about just best practices when you're reaching out to cold leads, just to kind of the some things that I've learned with customers and through our own efforts. And then, of course, your questions. We'll try to leave plenty of time at the end, but don't be shy about asking questions as we go along while it's in context. So let me show you an example first. So number one, I want to point out for everybody that what we're going to look at primarily today is not in Sales Nexus itself, the platform Sales Nexus that most of you guys are already using. So in Sales Nexus, you have the little green up button, and that will enrich all your contacts. So like if you go to an individual contact, you can click that up button and it'll match it with our contact database and enrich it and fill in missing information and everything, right?
Greg, are you sharing your screen?
I think so, yeah. Are you seeing it?
No, I just see all the attendees.
No.
Yeah,
Oh,
we
no,
can't
you're
see
right.
anything.
Sorry, guys, I hadn't turned that on. Okay, now you should be seeing it.
Yep.
Do you see that now?
Yes, sir.
Yep.
Yes.
Okay, good. Thank you. All right, so so just trying to make clear that when you do the enrichment using the green up button in Sales Nexus, what that's actually doing is talking to our B2B contact database and pulling in missing information, right? But what we're going to look at today is actually logging on to this B2B contact database directly and looking for new contacts, which requires a different account. You cannot access this through your Sales Nexus logon. We have to set up a separate account. And we'll talk about, how you get access to that as we go here. But I just want to make that clear. So now I'm logged on to our B2B contact database here. And what I've done is I've set up a little example search. And you see over here all the criteria you can play around with. What's the title of the individual you're trying to target? What sort of company factors do you want to search by, industry and things like that, or SIC code? We'll look at this in a little more as we go, but here I just filtered it by country. So everybody in the United States, let's go ahead and add Canada in for our Canadian friends. And I also added here, I added a filter for cell phone. So this is only we're going to return contacts that we have a mobile phone for. And then also I want to make sure they have a professional email, business email. So I do that search and we got 30,000 people. And that's the results here that you're seeing, or at least a preview of it. Every one of these contacts, you're going to get their LinkedIn profile link, Facebook and Twitter, if we have it, but everybody's got a LinkedIn. You're going to get, the company information. You're going to get all their phone numbers. The orange is the symbol that indicates we have their mobile number. Here for the emails, the green is their business email, and the little Gmail symbol is their personal email. I'll just quickly show you guys. Here's the results of that search. If I downloaded all 30,000 of those, this is what it would look like. And just to give you a sense of how much data you're getting their title, you're getting their personal emails, you're getting, their mobile number, that's labeled as direct dial here, but you're also getting all these mailing addresses, a contact mail address, their contacts, LinkedIn and Facebook and Twitter, you see here. You're getting information about where they were educated, which you can also search on, which can be handy. What kind of education do they have? You're getting more information about the company's LinkedIn profile link, their domain, their address, how many employees they have, what's their revenue, what industries do they specialize in, and all of this other data that you can use in different ways. And we'll talk about as we go here a little more about how you can use all of this. But so that's the output of this system. You would go here and say export, and it's going to say download up to 30,322, and see what it's going to do is it's going to use my credits when I download. So to be clear, I'm not using credits when I do this search. I'm using credits when I download the list to a CSV. And each contact is a credit. So, you pick your industry and the market you're trying to target, like you can narrow it down and say, let's narrow it down to people in Florida, right? And now I'm going to get a much smaller list. Now it's down to only 2,600. But if I'm a Florida contractor or somebody that does commercial cleaning or something like that, this might be my perfect list. Right? Now, another thing to point out, we don't have mobile phones for everybody. If I turn this filter off, you'll see now it almost doubles the size of the list. And that's what I usually say is we have mobile phones for about half, 45%, 50%. Any questions about that? Just kind of the basic function there of searching for leads or contacts.
I got a question.
Yes, sir.
How accurate is the data? Like, is it 100% that you have the correct phone numbers and email addresses, that sort of thing, or do you still have to verify the list that's generated?
When you export the list, you'll notice right here by default it's turned on validate emails.
Okay.
So it's valid. It's when you download the list, like in real time, it's downloading, or I'm sorry, it's checking with the company's mail server and validating that it will receive an email sent to that address. So that's a certain level of validation. It's not perfect. So that to answer your question at a high level, it's not 100% accurate. Nothing is, right? But what we've found is that this is the best source of accurate phone numbers and emails. And here's why. What they've done, our partner that actually maintains the database, what they've done is they've written some software. They're not partnered with LinkedIn, but they've written some software that automatically pings the LinkedIn profile of every contact on a regular basis. And if there's any kind of change in your LinkedIn profile, then they know they probably need to update their contact data, right? And it works. Based on my experience, we've had customers that have used every other source, everything from, what was it? Used to be Info USA or something
back in the day, and now a lot of people use Zoom Info, and they all have their way of sourcing data, right? What we do is validate it. We source it from multiple sources, all kinds of different places, social, web, data brokering, all kinds of stuff. But then we use LinkedIn as a source of truth. So we found it to be the most accurate, but it's not going to be perfect. I'll get into that a little bit. There's 915 million contacts in the database. B2B emails, employment information. We'll look a little more how you can, if you're in recruiting and you need to do, see who's hiring for certain positions, you can do that kind of thing. Even location information down to the lat long. I've never really played around with that myself, but we've had some customers that have. Local addresses, even in a large corporation, you can get the actual address that a particular employee works in for, some local field office or something. And then on the company level, it's 85 million companies, and this is worldwide, not just US and Canada. It's mostly in US and Canada, but there is pretty good coverage in, the G7 type countries. But, like we talked about earlier, you're getting the social profiles of the company. You're getting affiliated companies that they may be owned by or own. Information about, investment, how many branches they have, what industry are they in revenue, employees, all of that. And this is all stuff that you can use to filter your searches, right? Like we talked about a minute ago, the data is validated using LinkedIn. They use a lot of tools, but they're using LinkedIn as the source of truth, right? If the data that their tools is producing doesn't match what LinkedIn is saying, then they don't publish that data. That's the story on the accuracy. Like I say, just based on experience, we've been really happy with it. Our use with Sales Nexus, and we worked with a lot of customers that have come from Zoom Info and others that are out there these days, and they've had a good experience. In terms of the accuracy of the data, it's really important to have it accurate, like you asked about a minute ago, but also to use all of that breadth of data to better segment your data, right? And segment your marketing. Because you may find that, you do a search like I did of property managers all over the country, and I'm just going to, blanket reach out to them all with the same message. And I may find that, I'm getting some response, but if I look closely at the data, it might be that I'm getting a much higher rate of response for those, property owners where they own more than 10 properties or something like that. So that's telling me my message is resonating with the larger, property managers and not with the smaller ones. So I may need to segment those out and create a separate campaign for the smaller ones, if that makes sense. So you want to import all of that data. That's one of the mistakes I see people make, is they'll get this CSV file like we looked at that comes out of the system when you do your search, and they'll just delete out a whole bunch of these columns because they don't think they're going to need them. But you'll be surprised. This data will become handy if you're really trying to dial in your campaigns.
Greg,
okay.
I was going to ask.
Yes, sir.
Is there a way to filter for brand new businesses like startups? Can you search by date that they opened their doors?
Yep, you sure can. So you can. So what I'm doing searches based on the person, right? But I can switch over here and do searches based on the company, right? And right there, founded year, right? So I only want, people that have started up in the last couple of years, right?
Well, that's really good because you don't get that with any other lead source, really. I've looked at them all.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'll go ahead and jump to this real quick because it's probably relevant to your question. You can also here with the alerts do some pretty neat things. So under alert types, you see, you can do things like, there's some kind of investment or financing event for a company. And then I might come in and say, my particular industry that I'm targeting is, let's try to find one. Let's do apparel. Well, didn't give me anything, but that's the idea. I don't know a good example I think I got to change the date range. Yeah, this is like today. So if we do last week, maybe we'll get a little more, but you get the idea. You come in.
Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
Can you pick the top performers in an industry as well, like on a country basis, state basis, and say a city basis as well?
No, not. I mean, well, depends on what you want to call top performing, right? You can do it based on, as you see here, revenue, number of employees, but it's not, there's no information about their stock performance or dividends or profitability or any of that.
Okay.
I have a quick question, Craig. When you're exporting your list, you mentioned, people might delete columns and such. When you're doing the export into Sales Nexus, are all the columns already, all the field labels already there for an export from B2B? Or do we have to kind of make sure of that on our side?
That's a good question, and the answer is not all of them. Most of them, yes, but not 100% of them.
Okay, thank you.
So the way I would describe it is ones that most customers want to use to kind of segment, like we were talking about, they're already in there, but not 100% of them.
Okay, fair game.
Right, can we import a list to have it cleaned?
Yeah, so that's a great question, and that's exactly where I was going. Now, there's two aspects of that, and some people get confused sometimes, so I want to be sure and take a minute to clarify. There's one thing is what we would call enriching or appending your existing list, meaning taking the list that you have and adding in missing data. Like if you have an email list, but you don't have phone numbers, right? That's appending or enriching. The other aspect is what we call cleansing, which is validating the email addresses. So like we talked about earlier, when you export from the B2B contact database here, it's going to validate that the email is deliverable. However, if you're doing a lot of email marketing, that's not quite enough. And let me show you what I mean. Built into Sales Nexus, you have what we call list cleansing. So I'm going to go here, and I don't know why every time I go here while I'm in this meeting demo, it's really slow. But let me pull up a list here. Well, actually, let me do this. Grab that list, and I'm going to show you what happens. I'll show you how to do this in a minute, but you can take any list that you've loaded into Sales Nexus, and our system uses a third party that does a whole deeper dive on the email validation. It's not just checking to see if the mail server is going to accept mail. It's checking to see if you're a spam trap or a frequent spam complainer and things like that, so that you're removing those people from your list. So here you go. Here's a list of, I'm actually in our database that we use in our business here. And you can see email validation result, right? So I ran a cleanse on this list, and these are the different results that are coming back. Verified means it's a good email, everything, it's the best. Catch-all means you can send to that email address, but the mail server is basically set up to receive any email to any address at that domain. So I could send an email to Craig at yesandagency.com and it'll receive it. That's a weird thing that people do on their mail servers as a way to kind of fight spam. But that's what that is. Unknown means we weren't able to determine it. Undeliverable means it's a bad email address. Let's see, role means it's, info at, right? Or sales at. You don't want to send to those in general. And then, let's see, show you some other examples. You got malformed, meaning it's just, something wrong with the format of your email, as you can see here, right? And then I will try to show you. Some of them are going to come back and say either spam bot or spam trap, or actually the easier way to show you this, sorry. I'll go up here to my dashboard and go to email analysis, and you'll see all the different categories that you get. And I want to show you guys this because this is really important. Again, if your list is a couple thousand people or something like that, it's not, and you're going to send one email a month or something, some of this stuff may not really make a huge difference for you. It's such a small list that you're not really going to notice. But if you're sending, tens or hundreds of thousands of emails every month, then these things make a big difference, because you're on the radar screen of the spam filters like Gmail and Outlook. So here you go. Here's a graph of all the different email validation results on this list.
Yes.
Right?
Do you want me to go with you to get the tile? Or you want us
Go ahead
to?
and mute that.
I'm in a meeting. I'm in a meeting.
Where was I?
I know. I'm off. So
Here we go.
Someone needs to mute themselves, please.
Sorry.
Thank you. But anyway, what I'm trying to get to here is, you see all the different values that you're going to get from this cleanse. Verified, catch-all, all of these we talked about. There's complainer. These are real people with real addresses that are actually checking their mail, right? It's not like it's some bot or a trick or something, right? But they frequently mark things as spam, right? So generally you don't want to send to those guys, because especially if they didn't ask for it. Role, we talked about spam trap. That's also sometimes can be a real person, a real mailbox where somebody's actually using that mailbox, but also it's a spam trap. There's services where they, any mail that they mark as spam, or they don't any unsolicited mail that comes in to that mailbox automatically gets reported as spam. Let's see, bots, it's some kind of automated system. Disposable email, those are some of these systems where you can register an email and register for your trial of some thing, but you're never going to see the emails that they send you. So anyway, all of these guys, like the spam traps, the complainers, malformed, undeliverable, obviously, you can see kind of the rates. You don't see a lot of spam traps or bots, right? But it only takes one or two to cause you some pretty serious damage. You know, that's the thing to keep in mind is you don't need to get a lot of spam reports to start having some trouble. So it's very valuable to go into Sales Nexus, go to settings. So now you've loaded your list already, right? We've imported our CSV file into Sales Nexus, and you got to be kidding me. Can you guys hear me?
I can hear you.
Can you? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'm on the phone. That's right. Okay. I lost my internet. Are you seeing my screen?
No.
Okay. Yeah. Sorry, man. Just going from bad to worse here. Let's see. Let me get connected to my hotspot, and then hopefully we'll be back in business. Okay. Let's maybe reconnect.
You know, maybe the 3-letter agencies aren't liking what you're saying there, Craig.
Yeah, don't get me started on that. I was going to tell a story actually about a customer of ours that, you know, they're kind of in a political space.
Yeah.
And so they're worried about that kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
And so it's kind of tough to help them with email delivery because they quickly go to kind of the conspiracy land, right?
Yeah.
You know, and think somebody. Oh, sorry. Okay.
Yep, we're back.
Hopefully you're not hearing echo now. But anyway, point is, you know, they just really are convinced that, you know, like you say, one of the 3-letter agencies must be doing something nefarious. But we ran this cleanse on their database, and we were able to identify, you know, I don't know, it's like 25 spam traps on their list, and they don't have a huge list. It's like 5,000 people or something.
Right.
But, you know, and the really mind-blowing part about this, the part that really sent them off the deep end, is that they personally know some of the people that came back as a spam trap. So that's the tough thing about this, right? These are real people that you actually know, and sometimes they kind of don't even know. It might be a sort of a corporate solution that they're somehow connected to, but
yeah,
you know, based on certain rules, every email that they get that's not solicited is getting reported as spam. You know, they just have some kind of a aggressive policy, right? And so you never know. That's the point. What I was going to show you guys earlier is you go into settings and then add contacts. And this is where you have your manage imported list, which is where you have all the imports that you've ever done in Sales Nexus, right?
Are you sharing your screen?
Yeah, we can't see your
shoot. Sorry.
He's lost his internet, so that's why he's having trouble, everyone.
Yeah, thanks for the grace. Okay, so you see my screen now?
You may want to pay your internet bill.
Yeah, no doubt.
We can see it.
So I'm going to go to settings, add contacts, and then here, manage imported lists. And so these are all the lists, all the CSVs that you've ever loaded into Sales Nexus. So I can select any of those that could be multiple or whatever. And then I go here, you see selected list, start cleansing. And that's all you do. Start the cleanse. There is a charge for that. It's 4 cents per contact. But it's worth it, you know, because it's going to clean those spam traps and stuff off your list. One of the things that I wanted to make sure and show you is that when you cleanse it, Sales Nexus will automatically mark the email as undeliverable and it won't send to it. So even if you know, again, it might be a spam trap and it's a real person that you still have a relationship with. Maybe they're a customer. Sales Nexus is going to mark it as what we call do not send. So even if you accidentally put them on a campaign in the future, we won't send to them. So that just happens automatically. So any of the spam traps, the complainers, the undeliverable emails, and a couple of other categories that we looked at earlier will just automatically get marked as do not send.
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
Would you recommend doing that culling just before you're going to do a campaign? Because the status of that email could change from week to week or month to month.
Yeah, I mean, yes, I would say the safest thing to do is when you import the list, go ahead and cleanse it and just be done with it, right? You're right. There might be some changes, but it's not very likely. And the changes that are most likely are just somebody might retire and their email's no longer valid, right? That's not going to get you in too much trouble if there's 1 or 2 of those on your list. It's the spam traps and the complainers that are much more damaging.
I mean, couldn't you just cleanse the list again, like once a month, like all the lists that you have?
You could, yeah.
Just to verify nothing has changed or it has changed.
If you want to pay every time.
Yeah, you'd be paying every time you do that, though. That's the problem. But yes, you're welcome to do that.
So I have another question.
Yes.
If I'm using your service to do the actual email campaigns, do I have to provide you with the opt-out email address, or do you do that?
The opt-out email address,
well, if
meaning
someone gets an email and they want to unsubscribe, they want to get off the list. Normally, they click a link and it takes them to an email address that unsubscribes them. Do you do that, or do we have to provide that?
No, we do that for you, and we don't even use an email. It's just, the customer receives your email. They have the unsubscribe link at the bottom. They click it, and they get a web page that lets them, choose their options and then unsubscribe.
Okay.
And then it does this. It has it's not exactly the same in the database, but the net effect is the same as what we talked about before. Now they're opted out. So even if you accidentally try to put them on a future campaign, the system won't send to them.
Okay.
So, Craig, is that automatic, did you say? You said that's automatic? So if I've done a campaign, but I haven't even set up an unsubscribe link of any kind, if it's sent
no, it's automatically put onto the bottom of your email.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah. So another quick question, Craig. So let's say I have 10 different CSV files that I've used to import my leads. And some of those leads I've converted to customers or like warm leads or whatever. If I remove the CSV file that was used to create that data, does it delete the contacts that I've converted to customers?
Yeah. I mean, when you say remove the CSV file, the only way you can do that is go back where we were a minute ago. And you could go here and say, oh, I want to delete these 2 imports that I did the other day, right? And click delete. And it's you're going to take those contacts out of your database, regardless of whether they're marked as a customer or whatever.
So then you're better off to manually delete the, just so you don't remove important data that you actually want.
Right. Yeah. But if you're thinking about this in relation to the cleanse, you don't need to delete them at all. The system will mark them as do not send. And it's smart to leave them in the database, because that way, if in the future you're doing some other search and you've got some new list that you're loading and that person happens to be on that list, the system's not going to create a new record that then gets you in trouble again. Right?
Okay.
You're like leaving them in there. The duplicate checking will keep you from putting them in there again.
Okay.
Now, a couple other things I want to be sure we get to here in the B2B contact database, because this comes up a lot with customers that need to do sort of special things. Like you might say, okay, well, you know, for our property manager search that we did earlier, right? I don't want to even do all of Florida. I just want to do certain zip codes in Florida, right? Like right around the Miami area or something like that. So I can go here, and yes, I could sit here and type in all the zip codes around the Miami area, but that's a lot of zip codes actually, right? You're going to be typing a long time. So what you can do, you notice a little import link here? You go there, and if I've got a file of zip codes in South Florida, which I just happen to have, I load that up, and I just, you know, map the column, and I'll just check here to select all of those zip codes. And now you see what it's done? It's put all those zip codes in here, right? So that when I do my search now, that's one of the filters. Oh, shoot, it logged me out before. Bear with me. Well, okay. Let's do that again. Everybody understand kind of the idea there?
Yeah. So I've got another quick question. Okay, for budgetary concerns, like I've used other lead generation apps, and
right,
sometimes like you'll do a search, you've narrowed it down as much as you want, but it generates 300,000 records.
Yeah.
And if I don't want to spend 300 grand on the lead list,
yeah,
is there a way that you can just say, you know, the first 50 or the first 2,000 or whatever?
Yeah, there is. There's a couple of different ways to do that, but you'll see here when I do my export, I can do a couple of things here. I could say, you know, I only want 1,000.
Okay.
Right? Or another little trick that seems to work pretty well a lot of times is you just say, hey, you know what? I don't want more than 5 people per any company, right? And especially if you're dealing with large corporations, that'll really cull it down quite a lot.
Okay.
So there's a couple different options there. And then also you can, what some people will do is, you know, spend some quality time kind of cherry picking the list, right? By just selecting them like I did there. And then you say add to my leads. And so what that's doing is it's putting them on your lead list in the tool. And then I can go do other searches and cherry pick a few other people and just keep adding them to that list. And then finally, when I'm done, I go here to my leads and I can download the whole list that I've cherry picked. It doesn't matter which search they came from, but it's now one list.
And so you can customize. So for example, using what you just said, let's say I download 100 leads based on that. And I've got a certain thing in my mind. So can I create like a column that specifies what I was searching for? When I import it now into Sales Nexus, can I see what my search criteria was for that particular lead?
It doesn't come out of this tool like that.
Okay.
It's a good point, and I'll just show you when when I'm importing into Sales Nexus myself. Let me just grab a file and I'll show you what I do. Because again, we're in our Sales Nexus account here, and you see it's mapping the field for me and all of that. I've got a saved mapping, that for ramped up that I use.
Yeah.
But down here, you see additional fields to populate, right? What I do is I have a lead source field that that's the sort of high level source, like website or networking or whatever, right? But I just added a second field, a lead source sub, and I'll put in there, this is property managers in South Florida or whatever, right? So now I have that tag in there that I can filter by in my lookups in the future. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see. Let's go back, and I want to do that again now that I am officially logged on. I'm going to go here and just say this is another neat little trick that a lot of people will use. Maybe you can go to some industry portal and you can get the websites of all the people in the industry that you're targeting, right? But you don't have contact information. So you would go here under company criteria, and then same thing, import a list of websites. So publisher website. So if I'm selling to publishers, I've got a list of websites. I'm going to load that up. And now that's my search criteria, all those domains, right? And then I don't have much else, any other filters set up. So here's 1,700 people. Now you can see I got all kinds of different titles showing up, right? Editors, publishing consultants, authors, accounting people, I don't know. Probably I don't want all of those folks, right? So now what you do is you kind of go in and just start filtering it a little bit at a time, right? So you may know specifically that you want to target the marketing person. So you put that in right here, right? That marketing's in their title. Or you might say, I don't really care what their specific role is. I just want somebody with some decision-making authority, right? So I'm going to go here and just do, C-level and maybe down to VP level. And so now I'm down to only 60 people, but, that's the right people. Or I can go here and say, choose different business functions or kind of areas of role within the organization. So if I'm looking specifically for people in the sales field, then I add that, and now I got 149 people that are salespeople at publishing companies, right? So that website import, and you'll see a lot of the other fields or search criteria, you can import lists like that. So like you may have a whole list of SIC codes or NAICS codes that you want to import and make that part of your search criteria. Anybody have any questions about that part of things? The other thing, couple other things I want to make sure you see. Down here, because again, every one of these people's on LinkedIn. So you have a lot of interesting search criteria here that you wouldn't necessarily think of, like, education. Speaking, we were talking earlier about folks in the political world. I have found when I'm helping those folks that you can use their alma mater as a pretty good proxy for their political beliefs. In every part of the country, there's certain universities that lean one way or the other, right? And so I found that if I'm looking for conservative people in Texas, I can go here and say I want to be sure they went to Texas A&M, and there, let's see, where's the location? Keep going by it. There we go. I'm going to say Texas, and boom, there's 538,000 people that went to Texas A&M, which until very recently was a pretty conservative university. So that has worked pretty well for a couple of customers. But just an example, you could search by their birth date, interests. So if I'm looking for people that went to Texas A&M and are into sailing, because I'm putting together a sailing club or something like that. Now I'm down to 290 people, but these are sailors that are Aggies that I might like hanging out with, right? And then you can also do skills. This one is really neat if you're in like a medical field, for instance, or any kind of a industry where the folks you're dealing with have certain official licensing and certifications and things like that, right? Let's see. Oh gosh. Maybe I want to find people that are certified in CPR, right? So there you go. This is in Texas, right? So you can use that for, I've used it a lot with customers for, targeting different kinds of doctors and nurses. If you know the little 3 or 4 digit code for their certification that you're looking for, you just put it in there and it works pretty well because that's generally in their LinkedIn profile, right? And then the other thing to know about is you can search on technologies. You got to go here to companies first, and then technologies. And here, what you can do is search on what kind of software they're using in their business. So obviously in our business, that's really handy. If maybe I'm an accountant or a bookkeeping firm or something like that, and I want to find people that are using QuickBooks because that's our expertise or whatever, right? I can put in the product that you're looking for, and then add all the other types of criteria that we've talked about: size, location, etc. And now here's a list of companies using QuickBooks, right? So I might want to filter that by company size, right? Probably the really big ones don't need a bookkeeper like me, right? So I'm going to filter that down, and now I'm down to 26,000 businesses that I know are using QuickBooks. I could filter it some more and say, let's look at people in Florida again. Now I'm down to 1,000 companies. Now you say, okay, well that's great, but you're going to want to talk to the CFO or the accounting manager or somebody like that, right? Okay, how do we get that list? Because all we have right now is a list of companies, which I can export, and it'll have all that company data like we looked at earlier, but not the contacts. So what I do is I click here, and then I go find contacts at these companies. So now it's going to switch over to the people view, and it's going to load in what you see. What it's done, actually, it's just done a search for me with all of those companies' websites in this little box here. And now I can start filtering on accounting and finance. And now I've got a pretty good hit list, right? So that technologies, there's just all kinds of stuff in there, and you don't have to be in the technology business for that to be useful. It can be a good proxy for all kinds of things, like point of sale, right? If you're selling to restaurants, maybe you're selling food products or packaging products or whatever, and you know that your customers often use a certain point of sale system, you can come in here and search for that to identify the companies and then get the contacts within those companies. Any questions about that? Okay. The other thing, we looked at this a little bit earlier, but these alerts are really neat. Like I said, I've worked with a lot of people that are using it in the personnel or recruiting area, right? So I'm looking for personnel alerts, and I want, any alert that has the word engineer in it, somebody hiring engineers. And I want, only, decent sized companies, right? So I kind of set up my search criteria, and let's say last 3 months, and there we go. And so when you set up one of these alerts, you can set it up to automatically email you anytime anything new happens. You can see based on the criteria, there's a lot happening every day, but so I probably want to filter it a little more, but and you're going to get an email, and you just click into it and go to that company and get contacts. And so this can be a really handy tool if you're needing to prospect customers based on kind of newsy type stuff.
So is that based on clients that you've already downloaded, or that you want to download in the future based on the criteria?
No, it's based on people that you haven't downloaded. It's the whole universe of, it's any contact or any company that's publishing news that fits the criteria that you're putting into these filters over here.
Okay, and this is strictly B2B and B2C. You don't have just regular consumers, correct?
Right, it's B2B.
Okay.
So we can't search for instance, homeowners with homes over a certain amount of value, or with a equity in their home over a certain amount of value, or stuff like that.
Okay.
Let's see. So let me get back to the slides here real quick, because I know we're running out of time. So on our website, you can see under contact enrichment, you'll see the pricing here. So these are prices for credits to download lists. And again, you use a credit every time you download a contact. The searching doesn't cost you credit. And I didn't mention it earlier, but you can save your searches, so that as you're searching, you can just kind of go in and do different searches and save all the searches before you ever download anything, and just kind of get a feel for what's in there that might be of interest, and how many credits you might need and all of that stuff, right, before you actually use any credits. But let me go back here. So, we have some subscription options. With the subscription, it's a 6-month minimum, but you get a log on so you can do the searching and all of that. And you get, a new batch of credits every month, either 450 or 1,000 or 1,500. And those roll over. So if you don't use them in the first month, that's okay. If you're at the $200 level, in month 2, you'll have 900 credits until you start using them. On the one-time purchase.
Oh, go ahead.
What's that?
Just a quick question. Does the format of the CSV files change. Like if you're searching a particular industry, maybe there will be 50 columns. And then you look in a different industry and there's 63 columns.
No.
Will the output always be the same? So let's say
Yeah.
you don't have to remap it every time?
Right. It's the same every time.
Okay.
And there's already a saved mapping in your import in Sales Nexus for these files.
Okay.
The system kind of recognizes them when you're downloading or uploading a list from the B2B contact database. The system knows, oh, this is one of those files, map it like this. And then you can change it if you need to.
Okay.
What I was going to say is on the one-time purchase options, the thing you need to know about that is you only have 90 days to use the credits. So your account will expire after 90 days. So unless you're in a subscription, it's kind of use them or lose them.
But they'll still roll from month to month.
For 90 days.
Third month. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I can't quite see the screen. It's blurry. Does it say that one-time purchase for 1,000?
Right. Are you seeing it better now?
20, I can see it better now. 2,200 contacts. Okay. Sorry.
Okay. Good. Yeah. Sorry about that. Now, until April 18th, so end of next week, what we're offering is you get 3 times the contacts. So you take any of these pricing levels and these contact numbers here and multiply it by 3. So this week and next week, if you sign up for the $200 subscription, you're getting, what's that, 1,350 contacts per month, not 450. Or if you sign up for 400, you're getting 3,000 contacts per month. And same thing with the one-time purchase as well. Multiply the contacts by 3. So now your price per contact is going down to, less than 25 cents, sometimes close to 10 cents each, which is a really good price. So that's available till the end of next week. And then it'll go back to these normal prices. Also, I didn't mention it earlier, but we were talking about the list cleansing in Sales Nexus. Normally that's 4 cents per contact or per email. And we've lowered it to 2 cents until April 18th. So you can jump in there and use that at half price for the next week and a half. Anybody have any questions about the pricing?
Can we buy credits for the email cleansing that we can use, like take advantage of it at 2 cents and then like get a package and then we can use it until the credits run out?
Yes, I'd be happy to make that deal with you. To be honest with you, though, the system's not really set up for that. So we'd have to, every time you cleanse it, we would have to go and change your price,
right.
Which if you're, probably that's not an issue because you're probably not going to do it all that often. Yeah, I'd be interested in talking about that.
Okay.
So Craig, this text
yes, sir.
on the context, is that then it's up until the 18th. So this requires a minimum 6 months. So if you do 6 months or if you do 12, like are you grandfathered in for as long as you select this for? Say if I went for 12 months.
That's right.
Subscription, would it renew every 12 months at the same 3x, or is it just for the first 12 months?
Oh, that's a good question. Yeah, as long as you continue your subscription, we'll keep the price the same.
Okay, brilliant. All right, that's really nice of you, Craig. Now I got another question. Say if I start with the 200, business is booming, and now I'm thinking, hey, you know what? I want the 500. Can I just pay the difference and get the 3x on the 500 and just change my subscription, pay the difference between the two?
Yeah, that's a good question. if you upgrade in the future, I guess normally we wouldn't honor this special pricing at 3 months from now, right?
Right.
But I get your point. I mean, I don't mind saying, let's say by end of July, you could start with any of these packages, get the 3X. I don't know. I just lost my internet again, guys. Sorry about that.
Thanks for bringing us that, though, because we do know that we're really special guests today.
Right.
You have a lot of Canadians on this call.
Yeah, I know it. I know it.
You got to give us a break because we're getting killed in the 25%.
Well, all you got to do is become a state, and then all that goes away.
Oh, good answer.
Wow.
Well, I'm calling in from Ireland, so if you do,
I'm canceling my membership.
You get real lucky. The luck of the Irish if you give us the deal. So
there you go.
So is it through July or you'll get back to us?
Say it again.
Is that?
You're kind of.
Yeah, I lost the connection. So you can upgrade.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Sorry,
you can
go
upgrade
ahead, Mike.
you get a few months to upgrade and still get the 3X. Is that what you were saying, Craig? Sorry.
That's right. That's what I was going to say. You asked a great question, and it's a great idea. So let's just say, through the end of July, if you upgrade, then you'll still get the same pricing, the 3X pricing.
Through the end of July 2026, correct?
No, 2025.
Okay.
Now that's really generous, Craig, because I looked at their pricing and I nearly had a heart attack when I saw it. If you go ramped up, if you Google it, it's really expensive. It's saying here, say entry level 12,000 credits is 4,500, and well, I don't know. It just I looked at it and I thought, well, that's out of my range, But you're making this within my range now, and
right. No, that's a great point that you're bringing up.
I really appreciate it.
Our pricing for this data is better than any place else you can get it through this same partner. You can't even go to them directly and get it for the same pricing.
Oh yeah, you are not kidding, because I looked that up. Wow, this is great. And as soon as we subscribe, do we get a direct integration then? Like we go on to Ramped Up, put our filters out there, do our searches, and we might not download anything right away. We get used to it. Then all of a sudden I go, all right, now I know what I'm doing. I want this list. I download it. Does it go straight into Sales Nexus, or was it? I think you were saying you still have to export to CSV and then import and map it out. Save your mapped.
Yeah.
Your mapping.
Yeah, you still got to download it to a CSV and then import it.
And do you have the Ramped Up thing as like a template that we can add? I'm just wondering. Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I can always map it myself.
Yeah, no, you'll see when you go into the import page in Sales Nexus, if you guys are seeing, you're not seeing my screen. Shoot. Let me do that again. Okay. So you seeing my screen now?
Yeah.
Okay. So when you go to the import page, you can save your mapping here. And there's one in there already called, I think it's like Ramped Up Default or something like that. So it'll map everything to the standard fields in Sales Nexus. So you don't have to reset all that every time. Like I mentioned before, the system's going to automatically recognize that it is coming from this source and map it for you. So the only thing you really need to do is just kind of double check it.
Okay.
Thanks everybody for your time, and sorry about all the technical difficulties I've been fighting here today. Hope it wasn't too distracting. Anybody have any last questions?
Check your email.
Okay. All right.
Please.
You got an offer for me?
I'll make you an offer you can't refuse, or you'll
There you
stuff
go.
a
Thank
horse
you.
head in your bed.
Right.
Thank you for all your info and patience.
Yeah, thank you guys. Appreciate all your time, and yeah, reach out to me directly if I can help with anything.
So to sign up, do we just go to send in a support ticket, or what's the story? Great.
Yeah, or you can send an email directly to me. Let me get my email up here. cklein@salesnexus.com or support@salesnexus.com. Either way.
Got it. Got it. Thank you. Thanks, Craig. Thank you so much.
Sure. Thank you guys. Have a
Thanks
great afternoon.
Ciao.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. What the fucking fuck?